Look into the eyes of an animal, really look, and ask yourself something you've probably never thought to ask. Not whether it likes you, not whether it's afraid. Ask this: what does it think you? That question hits different than it seems, because we spend our whole lives defining ourselves. We have names, professions, opinions, memories, and an entire inner world we carry everywhere we go. But an animal has no access to any of that. It doesn't know your name. It doesn't know where you work or what's keeping you up at night. All it has is what it can directly sense: your smell, your posture, your movements, the sounds you make, the habits you repeat. So the real question isn't whether animals understand humans. The deeper, stranger question is this: what kind of creature do they actually think we are? Let's start with dogs, because no animal has studied us long. Dogs are extraordinary readers of human behavior. They track our eye movements, decode our facial expressions, respond to our tone, and pick up on emotional shifts we don't even notice in ourselves. But here's the thing: a dog doesn't think you're another dog. It knows full well you're different. You smell different. You walk on two legs. You can't run anywhere near as fast. And yet, none of that makes you an outsider. To a dog, you belong. You are woven into its social world as completely as any other pack member. You're the one who brings food, who signals safety, who defines the rhythm of the day. When you come home, your dog isn't just happy to see you. It's reacting to the return of someone essential. In a dog's mind, you might be a slow, strange, incredibly well-connected pack member with an inexplicable obsession with small glowing rectangles, but you're theirs. Cats see things different, and that's putting it mildly. A cat almost certainly knows you're not a cat. You're enormous, clumsy, and embarrassingly loud. But researchers have noticed something fascinating. Cats interact with humans in ways that closely mirror how they interact with other cats. They slow blink at us, rub their faces against us, and vocalize in ways they almost never use with other cats. Adult cats rarely meow at each other. That behavior seems reserved almost exclusively for humans. Which means cats haven't just tolerated us, they've developed a specialized communication system just for dealing with them. Whether that makes us social companion, simply very large, very trainable servants, probably depends on the cat. Then there are horses, and their perception is built around something most humans barely think about: energy. Horses are prey animals. Survival, for millions of years, meant reading every flicker of tension in the world around them. They notice the way you breathe. They sense hesitation in your step. They feel confidence or anxiety before you've said a single word. To a horse, you are a small creature with the physical profile of a predator: forward-facing eyes, direct movement, a body posture that could mean danger. And yet you bring food, you groom them, you stay calm when calm is possible. That contradiction is something horses take time to work through. The ones that do learn to trust humans seem to file us under a very specific category: a strange, upright herd leader who gives directions that don't always make sense, but who is ultimately safe. Birds introduce a whole new layer. Crows and ravens remember faces, not faces in a vague, approximate way, specific individuals. Across years, across locations, a crow that was harassed by a person in a parking lot can still recognize that person's face years later and warn other crows in the area. That means, to a crow, you are not a generic human. You are a specific someone with a track record. Be kind to a crow, and that reputation travels. Threaten one, and you may have made an enemy that briefs its colleagues. Parrots go even further, forming bonds with their humans that can resemble what they'd form with a flock member, or sometimes a mate, or a rival, or a parental figure. It varies by bird and by context. But what's clear is that to many intelligent birds, we are deeply significant. Enormous, wingless creatures who control every door, every food source, every light in the building. That's a lot of power. Power tends to make something important. Now, step outside, into the wild. A deer in a field doesn't wonder about your personality. It registers your silhouette, your movement speed, the direction of your scent. For most wild animals, a human is filed into one of two basic categories: a potential threat or just background. City wildlife has complicated this calculus significantly. Squirrels in urban parks have largely stopped treating humans as threats. They've reclassified us as large, unpredictable terrain features that occasionally produce food. Raccoons have figured out that human civilization is, at its core, a vast and poorly secured food storage operation. To a raccoon, your trash can is not an obstacle. It's the whole point. In the water, things get stranger still. Dolphins approach humans with what genuinely looks like curiosity. They seem to find us baffling slow, bubble-producing, ungainly things that need elaborate equipment just to stay submerged. Whales exist in such a different scale that we may barely register as individuals to them. And yet, whales around people often move with a kind of deliberate gentleness that suggests they're aware they're near something fragile. That's not understanding. That's something more like spatial awareness extended outward. And then there's the octopus. An octopus has a mind that evolved along a completely separate path from ours. 8 arms that process information semi-independently, skin that reads and displays light and texture simultaneously, a relationship with its own body that we can barely conceptualize. To an octopus, you are probably a large, consistent shape that appears on the other side of a transparent barrier and sometimes introduces food. Some octopuses do seem to differentiate between individual humans behaving differently around different keepers. Whether that's recognition, preference, or just pattern detection, we genuinely don't know. Which leads to the larger point. Animals may not ask, "What is a human?" That's too abstract. What they ask, in their own way, is simpler and more practical. What does this creature usually do? Is it safe? Does it bring food? Should I approach or retreat? We are known to animals not as a concept, but as a pattern of behavior repeated across time. The dog that knows the sound of your keys, the crow that remembers your face, the cat that hears the drawer where the treats are kept. Humans tend to cast themselves as the main characters of this planet, the ones whose story everything else orbits. Animals aren't watching us with anything like that framework. They're watching us to survive, to stay fed, to navigate a world we've dramatically reshaped, and they're paying closer attention than we give them credit for. Every time you enter a space where an animal lives, you are being assessed. Your posture is being read. Your smell is being cataloged. Your patterns are being memorized. You are not telling animals who you are with words. You're telling them with everything else. And in every language that actually matters to them, that information is coming through loud and clear.